What's up, everybody? I want to introduce you to the latest member of the Futur team. Her name is Molly Drill. She went to Art Center, she studied graphic design, and I'm super happy to have her here. And she's been working on the typography manual, something that you guys have been asking for. Now's a good time for us to check in. Follow me. When you guys are looking at typography, it's really important that you do what Molly's done. She's cut out the layouts to the actual size because we need to see the typography, we need to see if we can read it and how it feels. So it took her a little extra effort to cut each page apart because we can't get this on a single page. Okay, we will in the future because you'll just print an 11 by 17 printer. Okay, and we'll go from there. Okay, so let's take a look at this. And what typeface are you using as your principal typeface? Caliber? Yeah. That's the
on
blind.
On
this set.
Yes.
So this is the blind house font now. Caliber. That's why it's set like that. Okay. And I'm just looking at the weight of the type. It looks a little heavy as far as body copy. Maybe there's one weight down that you can go. Is this semi-bold?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe you can go to regular or even to light. There's thin, light, regular, semi-bold, and bold, and black, right? So there's a lot of weights to use. The first thing is I like to look at the contents page because the contents page has a lot of stuff in it, okay? And we can get a good sense of what you have to deal with from this thing. The first thing I notice is there's a trend here that I see in that the type, it's turned the wrong way. I like vertical type, but it should be turned the other way because we read from top to bottom, left to right. That's just something that it's one of my things. It's much harder to read when you orient this way. So if you take this type and flip it over, it's going to be a lot easier to read.
So that one's over.
Yeah, this is the same thing. It should go this way versus that way, right? So it just goes down.
Oh, got it.
This is fine. Okay. Now, a couple other things here. Why does it say table content so many times? Is this placeholder text?
Yeah, some of it. Like I want version 1, or I wasn't really sure
Okay.
what I'm putting here.
You're going to have to tell me what you want to put in there as a placeholder, and then we will see if it works.
Okay.
It's much better if we break up some of this. For example, I don't love this here, so let's get rid of this, and let's just put something like page number. So let's just say this is 00, or something like that.
Yeah.
And now that's a little detail versus all these lines. The second thing is I think we should just get rid of the underline. The underline tells me, based on all the web language we're using now, it feels like it's a link or something. Like it works for big headlines like this, but I don't love it for little things like this. So let's get rid of the underline here. Okay, now if I look at the rule here, okay, will you expand or contract this depending on how long the chapter pages are? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so they're different. So let's put these here. So these are all the different chapter pages, right? So it looks like that. This one's black and this one's gray for some reason? Or just the way they're printed out? Oh, it's red. Okay, so this one's black.
All these pages are.
Or red?
The color that we choose, yeah.
Okay. I think this line needs to come up closer to the word content. I think it needs to move up to something like that. It feels like there's too much white space, and when I become aware of the white space here, then it becomes a problem for me. Okay? Typically, you put in a line to draw emphasis, or you use it to group things together. There's nothing to group it together, so if it's drawing emphasis, let's move it north. I think in general, too, you should probably play around with your lighting a little bit, because this is too wide for that, in my opinion. What we got to do is bring this tighter, maybe to here, and then bring the line. Everything needs to come a little closer. Where I like extra lighting is here. So this is good. This should be tighter. So this is a group. That's the header of the group, and then that's how you should do it, okay? And I noticed some inconsistencies here. That looks much bigger than this one. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Okay, these feel the same. So what we want to do is we want to just make sure you spend the time and tighten all that stuff, okay? I like the weight change. Again, I think this should be, what is this? Is this bold? Or is that?
Bold, yes.
Is it bold? And this is regular?
Yeah.
This is where in the typography manual, I think they're too similar.
Okay.
I like this weight. I think this one should go thinner. Okay. What you want to do, I'm just explaining this for them. I know you know this, but what you have is the word the character, like that, and you want something that's lighter. I'll show you guys. Okay. This needs to line up, obviously. it needs to feel lighter in its weight when they're too similar. And then here, I think we have too many different point sizes and things that are going on. It's important. Numbers, unlike type, have to be justified right, because you can see it's moving all over the place. The reason why numbers are lined up on the right is because when you do addition, it has to be lined up that way, because we add from right to left. Okay, so let's get this lined up. I think that's going to make this layout much cleaner, and I don't think this should be bolder nor bigger point size. Let's keep that all similar and group that.
Even though this is the section, like so section 1, section
So that's not a page number?
Just don't, yeah.
Then I wouldn't even do it.
Okay.
You don't need it. So great, I'm glad you clarified for me. Let's strike that, okay? We don't need it. I think it'll look much better.
Yeah.
If you want to do section 01, it should be over here. 01, 02, right? 03, so that there's not two sets of numbers that it's going to be confusing. And that might actually look good, I don't know, okay? Otherwise, it's a nice clean layout. You said this is a 3-column grid?
No.
No.
I'm supposed to be setting this in 3 columns. Or, you know.
Is it on the same grid?
Yeah, this is all in the same grid.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure we need to put all this stuff in here, so I would like for you to look at other books and figure out what they put in there.
Okay.
Okay? And if, like, I understand, like, you need elements to design with, right? So here to design, we see it's volume 1 type. This seems very important for what it is. It's like edition 1. It seems too heavily weighted there. I don't think we need it. I think you could do something else with it to let people know what they're looking at. Is this a placeholder image?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I already mentioned this. Let's go a little bit lighter weight. Let's play around with the leading. Just tighten it up just a little bit, okay? It's good. Nice. Okay. This is hard for me to tell if this is going to work or not, depending on what image you put in there. Right now, I don't love it there. I think it looks more beautiful, like just empty. Okay. And I think you have to be mindful of the grid lines. Like, you have to think through the page here. Like, if you're going to put this, these two should line up, and they don't line up right now. Maybe they did on your computer, but right now they're not lining up. Okay? Okay, that looks good. All right, fine. I like the way this looks a lot. Of your spreads here, I like this because we have a different looking kind of thing. There's nice contrast between these two things. You're using a slab serif typeface, otherwise known as an Egyptian. Okay, those are the same names for it, where the serifs, they don't taper. They're single weight, right? And I like this. I think, again, I think this is just my preference, but I think a little tighter leading will make this feel more like a group. And are these illustrations that you did, or is this just what was available?
No, that's just like a line.
Just to show out some detail, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Detail.
Did you do that?
No.
Jamie did that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I like that. Let's just bring it in a little closer. This is Clarendon. So I think for some information here, these are two typefaces, right? Archer and Clarendon.
Which are the alternate of, like, those are some other typefaces that are
Right.
slapped.
So I think we need a little title here to say what that is, so we know. Okay. And some more type. I think when you have just one line of type here, it doesn't look so good. So what I would do is maybe shorten the width, the column width here, so that you get 2 lines, or just find more type to put in there as placeholder. It looks a little funny, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And are these set in their own,
Yes.
like that is Clarendon and that's Archer?
From what I remember, yes.
Okay. I don't love that. I would just prefer it to be one typeface. I know the internet freaks out over it.
That typeface.
You can either choose that typeface or choose the same Egyptian typeface, but just keep it all the same.
Okay.
Otherwise, it just looks like
Yeah.
a gazillion fonts,
Okay.
right? Okay. So I'm thinking for these pages, we don't need a lot, but we do need a little bit of detail, and it's gonna happen in the footer and the header, and the footer. So if you can think of any little thing, like you can come up with something here, just a little detail,
Okay.
like the,
I know what
and that's all you need, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. So this looks less interesting to me. I don't know why. Maybe because there's 3 things and there's 2 things, and now there's 2 things and 2 things. The rhythm doesn't feel right. So I think you have to find some way to group this together to make this look like a nice layout. I try to imagine this as a poster laying like in a museum against a wall or something, and it doesn't feel that resolved to me. We need something to anchor it, It could be a thin rule that you use to group the two things together.
Yeah.
Something. You could probably do something very small up here. Something to say, an example, something, whatever. That will anchor that together. We need something like that. Okay. This one feels like it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know if you have to break it or do something is funky, right?
Okay.
Why is this cut off here? Oh no, it's not cut off.
That
It's just the way the C looks.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me look at a couple other things here. Okay. I just want you to, after this, figure out one direction and really refine.
Yeah.
So I'll go through all of them as if they're all important, and then we'll figure out like what's working, and then you just synthesize them together. Okay. Now, I think this is obviously not black letter, but we just find the right typeface and we'll put that in there. I think again, I think it's a grouping issue. If you just took all of this and just shoved it here,
There's too much space.
there's just too much space. It'll look much better. You know, it's hard to see you guys. I'm sorry. I apologize, internet. If we made it that big and just left some room here and again a little detail, right?
Yeah.
It'll look really good. And again, let's lose the underline. The column width might be too wide for how many words. Like I like to do it like maximum 7 words.
It's over 7.
It's a little bit over 7. I think it's just maybe change the point size.
Okay.
What point size is that? Do you remember? Is that 10?
No, I think it's 9.
9? Okay.
I think.
All right.
Yeah, I think.
Here's a suggestion for you that might work really well, is to bump up this point size a little bit bigger. So it's like this big. And that might give you a little bit more contrast between the two. Yeah? So 9 is good, 8 is good. What's
I was
that?
referencing, the Swiss typography and a lot of the stuff that you showed me, and they were
Yes.
all using like same weight, bolder weight, and then like an underline. So that's where.
That's where you got that from?
Yeah, this is where the
Okay.
inspiration.
You can do that. You
Okay.
can do it, but you have to do it so perfectly.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Contrast is good. If you use it all the same point size, all the same weight, it works. But this is not the same point size. This is bigger than this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So
Okay.
if you actually did the same point size, then what you have to do is you have to get the leading tighter here, probably lighter weight, and it'll look really good. So typography is all about these little freaking tiny, one little change and then sings and one change and it's like, it's not working yet. And I would be very mindful about how these elements on the left page relate to things on the right. Okay? Are you lining it to the cap height, baseline? How you're aligning these two things? Theoretically? How confident are you? I'm about to put the piece of paper on it.
Well, that's what I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
You did? Okay, so you're very confident. I just want to double check.
I did that.
Okay. This is always a trick for me because we don't normally register the cap height. We usually register the baseline. So I don't know. It's probably fine.
Yeah.
Okay. And the way that you can strengthen that would be to put the line answer on the top, but we're not going to do that. It's just refinement. And have you had Simon Johnson before? You haven't.
It's okay though. I know we talked about this before.
Okay. So we look at what is the strongest horizontal line here. It's probably not that. It's probably this. And since this is a lot of text, you could probably use the cap height, but the baseline is typically the strongest, right? And you can make it work. So we will line it up to this, and then we line the baseline up here. Okay.
Got it.
And play around with scale. I think this layout could work. It's so much in the detail that it's going to work.
Okay.
Or not.
Yeah.
Okay. It might be nice too for some of these layouts for you to try making it not as wide, shifting it over to the right or left, and then giving yourself some room for captions. The contrast between those two things will look really good. All right. Of the layouts that you're showing me here, I think this is your strongest of this set. Again, I just go right to the contents page, right? So I'm looking at the contents page, and I think there's a lot of stuff going on here. Maybe too many things going on. Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering if we needed, because I took out some in there, but like this is the section, and then this is a description of the section, and I'm like, do you need all of that in there?
Yeah, that's a lot.
So
it's almost like too much.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So hierarchy. I do like the layout. I do like the big numbers. I don't love the relationship. It's the same problem we had over there. I think if you move these numbers over here, it would be better. And I think you need to change the point size such that it's not bigger than any one of these things, not taller. In some of the cases, it's actually taller. It's nicer if it's not as tall as the shortest one. So this is the shortest one, so this is number 3. So what I would do here
Is make it
is that size.
okay.
Use the same chunkiness of the typeface, just don't make it as bold. And let's get it to line up right there. Okay, and it doesn't have to be as tall.
So it's like
so
half
all of
height.
them drive that.
Okay.
Okay? And I think it'll look much, much better.
Okay.
Can you feel it already? Like,
Yeah.
especially if we connect it with some rules, it's very Swiss to do, to group. It's just about grouping the information. Okay? And then you have a lot of negative space here,
Which is
right? Which is good.
yes.
Negative space is key to doing these kind of layouts. You have some funny spacing here. Like that's wider than these.
Oh,
Okay.
because I was aligning it to the base line.
You were? You can't.
Yeah, on each because I did.
Oh, okay, yeah. I would do the opposite.
So, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about why. Okay.
Okay.
I don't have an eraser, but I should fix that one. But the 4 would be here. See, like right now, I'm focusing on the top because numerals have it's almost like capital letters. So you can anchor on both the top or the bottom. But since each one of these are up and down, what I would do is typeset this and then move the number to it, not the other way around.
Okay.
But so it would make the most sense to me, like the way I'm sketching it for you right now, is to do it,
Yeah.
right? You can get a feel for that. Like,
See, I did the bottom of the
yeah,
thing.
it would look better that way.
Uh-huh.
Okay? All right.
Okay.
Simplify, simplify, simplify. Okay?
Mhm.
We don't need that many tricks.
And then no lines.
And this doesn't feel so hot to me.
Okay.
It's just like an outer space. I think everything needs to relate, so we got to tie it together somehow.
Okay.
Okay? All right. And now let's look at this. If you go with something that's what we would like a forced character or word break like this, character, we have to kind of think about the alignment and the arrangement on the whole page. So as a design, I think we should break this up even more.
Okay.
So there's more movement. It doesn't feel great right now, okay? So I would say take care, act, and break it up via syllables. I was trying to do it with the white pencil. I think you want to do something like this. Now I'm kind of ignoring the fact that there's a gutter
Yeah.
when I do this,
But it might make a difference.
right? So like when I look at this, the whole layout, okay? And then if you just kept the A and the C over here, care, act, and then put the ER down here.
Okay.
I want you to like use the whole
Yeah.
page if that's what we're gonna do. It's very difficult to make one big thing like this, so maybe the size is a little bit big so that you have a little more negative space. Just scale it down a little
The
bit.
thing that I was struggling with
Yes.
is that this is the longest one, and then the other one's like word, text, page. So how do you?
So this is gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Don't paint yourself into a corner.
Okay.
Okay? If you love doing these kind of layouts, if we look at the layout again and we look at it like this, Aaron, you can see?
Yeah.
Okay. What we need to do is
It's a 4-letter.
like, let me try it again. All right. I'm just trying to give it some movement. And so you're going to have to just play around with this until it's going to work. And it's tricky.
I know. I'm
Okay.
been playing.
You may try to play around with some Fibonacci spacing.
Okay.
Okay, where
Yeah.
this is like
Golden
1, 1, and then this is 3 away,
Okay.
or 2 away, or something like that. Okay, just use those as units, and the magic number is 1.618. Okay, so if you take 1 square, it doesn't matter what size that is, multiply that by 1.168, and it'll be like that, and then it'll be like that.
Okay.
That's how you do it. You can just create a couple of squares and use them and scale them up and down as you need to.
Okay.
Keep your layout in harmony. This is a very difficult thing to pull off, okay?
Mhm.
I mean, you can do it, but you're going to run into all kinds of problems as you do it. And I think, if anything, it's the content, the information that's really important, so don't kill yourself over this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Simpler is the better, okay? And overall, like I said, if you can get rid of the underline, change your point sizes, and this is a nicer weight to read. This is condensed though, right?
Yeah.
I don't love condensed of most typefaces, so I would just use the regular weight,
Okay.
okay?
This
Because it
is
changes
wide
the
and
proportion. What's that?
This typeface is wide.
That's wide?
No, the regular weight. Never mind.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I do like having some caption ability like this. This is nice, and there's some contrast. I like that it's a smaller point size. I kind of need to see the way this is going to look before I say like that's the way to go. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I think when you take these big numbers and you cut them off here, it can look good. It becomes a little bit dominant here, and maybe you can cut them off, but might I suggest cutting them off only parts and not from top. You don't have to do the whole thing.
Okay.
So let me flip this over. Let me try and see what that looks like. So we take this layout, and we need to line it up something. It doesn't line up to anything right now, right? It's just going on the whole page. It lines up to the page. So if you had done like 4 like this, where that part bleeds off,
Oh, okay.
and you just give yourself some space to work with. And then this works with that. So maybe this line works here, classification, and then you have this grid here, and then this little bit here. Okay, so I'll draw it in. And then the next paragraph. And then this is just light.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
Can you get a sense of that?
Yeah.
Like maybe that starts to work. I do think you need something like this, something very small to anchor that thing.
Mhm.
And I'm just looking at other grid lines. You could have put something there, maybe something down here.
Mhm.
And then the
Mhm.
page feels like it's one cohesive thing.
Yeah.
Okay? Make Joseph Mueller-Brockman proud. Okay? Make Jan Schichold proud. This is what we're trying to do. We stand on the shoulders of giants. Okay?
Mhm.
Again, let's close this up. This will look much, much better if it were like that tall.
Mhm.
Okay? And just play around with this. I don't love condensed typefaces, okay? Unless you use trade Gothic bold condensed, which is drawn to be condensed.
Mhm.
Okay, this is a different way of laying this out.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, typeface serifs. I think I like the way you've done it before. I mean, this is kind of nice, except for when we get into ugly typefaces like
Yeah,
that.
I know.
And it's probably a little bit of gridding this out somehow. Sometimes when you have things like this that are all over the place, it actually helps to put some kind of structure around it.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
These little marks. So they're
it's
same
yeah.
units. Yeah. So it's something like that. It's like the NASA photographs,
Mhm.
and these will anchor it together.
Okay.
How does that feel, Aaron? Does it feel like it anchors it?
Mhm.
That's what we're looking for, okay? The reason why Pantone chips look so good is like each one follows a
Yeah.
consistent grid. And we like that, okay? All right. Okay, that's notes on that. Similar notes, I'm not gonna go over that.
Yeah.
Okay, this is very difficult for me to read. I don't know why.
Well,
It's
and
just-
a lot of it's placeholders, so.
Yeah,
'Cause
I think it's spacing between this and this tells me that these two are grouped and they're not,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
So you can actually use that to your advantage and put the numbers here
Mhm.
and then create more space between
Uh-huh.
them.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Typography Manual Index. Okay. A lot of this, I think, if you reduce the point size, give yourself some room to breathe, close up the leading, look at your grid, connect them, you'll be really solid. Last set, let's bring that in, and then the internet will have to wait for the covers for another day. Okay. Okay.
This, I was doing the
Yep.
numbers on the other side.
Let's bring this down here. You know I'm going to start with this. These are our gallery pages. They're not that big of a concern because once you work out everything else, they'll fall into place, right? Because you got the footer and the header to work out. Those will just live where they live. Okay. Okay, so you put the numbers here on the left side, which is a good thing. Again, leading, group those things together,
Mhm.
and I think that'll do it. What font is this? What typeface is this?
The same thing.
Caliber?
No, avant-garde,
Avant-garde?
but light. This is light, and then this is like bold,
Okay.
like black.
You may consider a serif sans serif combination to use for the entire book, because serif typefaces to me sometimes are a little easier to read for body copy, whereas beautiful like layouts and posters or like sans serif is nicer, and then serif is easier for body copy, something like that, right?
See, I would use my last series. I was using serif fonts, and then when you said Swiss typography, I went to.
You can still do Swiss typography with serif. It's just about understanding the grid system.
Yeah.
You're totally good there. Okay. I don't love like these lines that separate everything, and I think they should feel a part of the page. And by putting a line, you're like, I'm separate. And again, if we just take this and flip it around, is this taped together?
Yeah.
Let me show you something. Let me show the internet something here. Let's see if this works. Okay, you guys, take a look at this layout. This is the way it was. You tell me now if it's easier to read, if it works better. Now, there's some problems here. It doesn't line up to anything. Okay, so we're going to do some weird paper magic. Okay, let's see how this works. So what we need to do is shift it here. Okay, so I'm going to roughly eyeball this, and you guys will see. I'm going to take that and fold it right there. Okay, so we're like doing a little InDesign on the table. Okay, let's try that. So this is a rough approximation here. Now if we did that, now you guys are like, well, dude, I can't look at the design like that. Me neither.
You should
totally
rip
get
that
it.
then.
Well, we'll rip that, but I need a little bit more white because it's not part of the layout, right? So that's a little bit better. This is how people used to do this, right? They just use paper, tape, and then they start to do the layout. That's a little bit nicer. However, the rhythm doesn't feel quite right. This is like over here, this is over here. There's nothing really tying it together. So let's just look at what happens if this starts to encroach. You know, it moves over to this space. Like, how does that feel?
Better.
Yeah, it feels a little bit better to me too. Okay? And I think if we just use the right point size and letting, it's going to start to come together. And you have all this space to do nothing or everything. Here's what I think. We take the same line, we continue it over here, and we add a little something here, and it'll be really awesome. So we're using an entire page. It's like 1 unit, 3 unit kind of spacing, and it should look really good.
When you say something, text?
Text, a line, a graphic, anything. Usually what I do is when I think, I just like do a little dot, a little line, and later on I'm like, what could that dot be? It could be a number. It could be a circle, right, as a motif. That's what the Swiss Bauhaus people did. They would just put a little circle here because they wanted something there, and it looked really good. You could use all those things. Okay. All right. That's that. I like this a lot. I just don't like it upside down. Much better like that. Just better.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. All right. I think because this book is so small, I think using something gigantic like this will become problematic for you. This could work. This could work. I like that there's a lot of stuff for me to process here. Now, I'm trying to imagine this without the line up there. If you put the line down here, it'll look much better. This is the type sample with all the drawings and bits, and then there's this part, okay? And I think there's just too many point sizes, too many weights, too many things going on. I think if you were just to use less, it would be really strong. Okay? So this is alternatives. Consider using Clarendon, Archer, and then describe it a little bit. Okay? All right. Okay. Do you know what to do now?
Yes.
Okay. Let's yeah, you know what to do. So let's take everything that you've learned, apply it to one layout, and refinement.
Okay.
I want the header to be perfect. I want the footer to be amazing, and fewer point size changes, and a font, a typeface that's easier to read. Okay. Very nice job. So we're about 6 or 7 days in. You probably could have moved faster if I'd given you more feedback, but I've been super busy.
Yeah.
I know how fast you are, so we'll just do that like that. Okay.
Cool.
And the beautiful thing is, once we're done with this, the production of this booklet will go really fast. We're slugging in information at that point, right?
Yeah.
So we want to make sure the master pages and the templates are designed really, really well.
Yeah.
I know you guys like when I sit down with designers and talk about typography, and I'm hoping that you got a lot from that conversation. And each week, we're going to check in with Molly and see the progress she's made up into the point in which we're done with the design. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Let me know what you think. Comment below. See you guys next time.